Hello, my name is Wenping. Previously, I went through the first 18 levels of OverTheWire Bandit Wargames. If you have not watched them yet, check out the links in the description below. Today, I'll be going through level 19 to 23. I hope they are useful in your learning. Let's get started. For level 19, the password can be found in the usual place within the /etc/banditpass directory. However, you will need to retrieve it using the setuid binary in the home directory. For beginners who are not familiar with setuid, it is a special permission which allows the binary to be run as its owner instead of the user that is actually running the file. Run ls-l to view the content on your home directory. As you can see, the file owner of bandit20-do, the file, is bandit20 and it belongs to the bandit19 group. The permission also mentioned RWS, whereby S is for setuid. Well, this means that if your current user, bandit19, were to execute this file, it will be run as its file owner, bandit20. Alternatively, you can also run file bandit20-do and you will see that the file is an setuid ELF 32-bit executable file. To find out what it does, you can execute it using /bandit20-do. As shown, the purpose of bandit20-do is for you to run a command as another user. In this case, it is pretty obvious that this challenge is to introduce you to the concept and theory of a setuid binary. To verify that the file really does run as bandit20, we can run commands such as id or who am I. Since you can now confirm that any command submitted as an argument for this setuid binary will be executed as the bandit20 user, you can run cat/etc/banditpass/bandit20 to retrieve its password. There you go. This is the password to go to level 20. For level 20, it is really interesting. There is a setuid binary in the home directory that does the following. Makes a connection to localhost on the port that you have specified. Reads a line of text from the connection and compares it to the password you used to log into the current level. If the password is correct, it will return with the password for the next level. Run ls-l to view the content on your home directory. As you can see, the permission of this file is almost identical to the previous level, with permission being set as RWS. This means that the file will be executed as bandit21, the owner of the file. You can view the human readable strings in this binary file by running strings-su-connect. As shown, this binary will check whether the current level's password is provided. If yes, it will return the content of /etc/banditpass/bandit21, which is the password to the next level. To verify this understanding, you can run /su-connect and see what happens. Looks like su-connect needs to be provided with a port number to connect to, whereby the service running in the destination port must return with the password of the current level. To solve this challenge, you will need to create your own service which will just directly return the current level's password whenever any connectivity is established. What you can do is you can echo the password of the current level and then pipe it to netcat to run as a service. You will need to add the -l flag to indicate that this is a listener. Also, the -p flag is to indicate its local port number, which is the port that you will be hosting your listener on. Note that I have added an ampersand at the end of the command for netcat. This is to run the command in the background. Now that the custom service is listening on port 65530, you can run the SU Connect binary again, but this time provide the port number of 65530. There you go, this is the password to go to level 21. For level 21, we are being introduced to an entire new attack surface that has not been covered so far and will be revisited multiple times in the next couple of levels. For those who are unfamiliar with cron jobs, they are programs that run automatically at regular intervals from cron, the time-based jobs scheduler. The task given to us mentioned to look in the /etc/cron.d/directory for the configuration and see what command is being executed. Just so you know, the /etc/cron.d/directory is where system-wide cron jobs are placed. Let's change our directory to /etc/cron.d/ and list the files in the directory. In the list, the cron job we are interested in the most is definitely cronjob_bandit22 because that is the level we are trying to get to. Use cat to view the content of the cron job, and we can see that it is running a specific command at reboot bandit22/user/bin/cronjob_bandit22.sh. What it does is basically specifying that the shell script should be run once when the system boots up. Use the cat command once again to view the content of the shell script. Well, it appears that the shell script will basically do two things. Firstly, it creates a file in the /temp directory and then uses the chmod 644 command on the file to grant read permission to everyone, which means that our current user, bandit21, has also been granted the permission to view the content of the file. Next, it copies the content of bandit22's password into that file. There you go, this is the password to go to level 22. For level 22, once again, we will be looking into /etc/cron.d directory for the configuration and the command that is being executed. As the notes has mentioned, looking at the shell script written by other people is a very useful skill, which I definitely agree. The script for this level is intentionally made easy to read, so if you are having trouble understanding what it does, try executing it to see the debug information. Let's change our directory to /etc/cron.d and list the files in the directory. From the list, it is pretty clear that to get to level 23, we should try to view the content of cronjob_bandit23. Similarly to the previous level, this cron job is executing a shell script once when the system boots up. Use cat command to view the content of the shell script. Now, this is the first time we are seeing shell scripts like this in the OverTheWire Bandit challenges. For those who are unfamiliar with programming, a variable is a container that is being used to store a value. In the case of this bash script that we are looking at, my name is the name of a variable and the value that is stored into it is the output of the whoami command, which is being placed within a dollar parenthesis. Next, we look at the variable name for my target. The command being placed in the dollar parenthesis is basically printing that I am user X, whereby the X is the current user's username, and then pipe the entire output to the MD5 sum to obtain its MD5 hash value. Lastly, it will copy the current user's password into a file that is named after the MD5 hash value. If we think creatively, we don't necessarily need to only be printing our current user's password. We can use this method to print bandit23's password by changing the username accordingly. There you go. This is the password to go to level 23. For level 23, we will once again be looking into /etc/chrome.d for the configuration and the command that is being executed. As mentioned in the notes, this level requires us to create a shell script, which is the first in the OverTheWire Bandit Wargame series. I mentioned in one of my past videos that the Wargame setup is that everyone will be logging to the same host. Therefore, it doesn't make sense for anyone to be able to create files anywhere. As a result, the permission is set up in a way that an authenticated user can only create subdirectory in the /temp/something directory. Let's move to the /etc/chrome.d directory and check out the files. This time, we want to see the content of cronjob_bandit24 and its corresponding script. What this bash script does is that it will switch to the /var/spool/$myname/foo directory, which in this case, the variable myname is going to be bandit24. It will run a for loop to go through every single line of files in the directory. The first if statement is basically just for ignoring the dot and dot dot lines, which are not files meant to be read. The second if statement is to check the file owner to see whether it is bandit23. If the file owner is bandit23, then the timeout command will be executed. The next line just indicates that the files inside the directory will be removed. Now, let's create a subdirectory in /temp and switch to its location. We shall now create our first shell script from scratch. First, we will write this line to indicate the beginning of a script. This acts as an indication to the operating system which interpreter it should be using to run this script. In this case, it should be using /bin/sh to execute the script. Next, like what we have seen in the past levels, we just need to print the content of /etc/bandit_pass/bandit24 into a file, so we can read the content afterward. We also need to use chmod to grant permission to our file, so the password can actually get written into it. Lastly, let's move our script to the /var/spool/bandit24/foo directory. There you go. This is the password to go to level 24. With this, I have come to the end of my step-by-step walkthrough of OverTheWire Bandit Wargame series for level 19 to 23. I hope this detailed walkthrough has helped you in your learning, especially in new concepts such as the setuid permission and the cron jobs. Learning cybersecurity can be fun. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. If you face any issues or has any feedback, please add them in the comments.